Section 110.26 of the National Electrical Code, or NEC, addresses the requirements for working space about electrical equipment. This section is crucial for ensuring the safety of personnel who may need to inspect, maintain, or repair electrical equipment. However, the application of 110.26 to outdoor heat pump units, specifically the outdoor disconnect units, or ODUs, requires careful consideration. The NEC mandates specific clearances around electrical equipment operating at 600 volts, or volts, nominal or less. These clearances are designed to provide sufficient space for personnel to safely perform their tasks. The required depth of the working space depends on the voltage to ground and the conditions present on the opposite side of the equipment. Condition 1 specifies that if there is exposed live parts on one or both sides of the workspace, or if there are exposed grounded parts on the opposite side of the equipment, the depth requirement of the workspace is to be maintained. Condition 2 describes situations where grounded parts are located on one side of the equipment and insulated parts such as a wooden wall or no parts are located on the other side of the equipment. This will change the required depth of the workspace. Condition 3 specifies if there is exposed live parts on both sides of the equipment or where there are exposed live parts on one side and grounded parts on the other. The voltage to ground is determined by the system voltage and how it is grounded. For example, in a 120-volt system that utilizes a grounded neutral, the voltage to ground is 120 volts. For a 208 volts three-phase Y system, the voltage to ground is 120 volts. For a 480 volts three-phase Y system, the voltage to ground is 277 volts. For a 480 volts three-phase delta system with a corner ground, the voltage to ground is 480 volts. These values are important when determining the required workspace clearance. The NEC makes an exception for equipment that is likely to require examination, adjustment, servicing, or maintenance while energized. The majority of heat pump units generally do not require live work. Most manufacturers recommend energizing the equipment before performing any maintenance. However, the disconnects which are associated with the heat pump unit must follow Section 110.26. Section 110.26 also covers the width and height of the working space. The width of the working space must be the width of the equipment or 30 inches, whichever is greater. The working space must also not be used for storage. The height of the working space must be 6.5 feet or the height of the equipment, whichever is greater. Section 110.26 also covers the requirements for access and entrance to the working space. The access and entrance to the working space must be sufficiently large to allow personnel to safely enter and exit the space. For equipment rated 1200 amps or more and over 6 feet wide, there must be an entrance to an egress from the required working space not less than 24 inches wide and 6.5 feet high at each end of the working space. The NEC does not have any requirements for outdoor heat pump units because they do not require examination, adjustment, servicing, or maintenance while energized. The exception in 110.26 would not apply to the heat pump unit but would apply to the heat pump disconnect. The clearance must be maintained from the front of the disconnect. Consider the specifics of the installation and the likelihood of needing to work on the equipment while it is energized. If live work is anticipated, then adhering to 110.26 is essential for worker safety. Otherwise, the general requirements for access and maintenance should be followed, ensuring that the unit can be safely serviced when de-energized.